Topic 2: Alcohol and drug usage as an accident factor. How alcohol affects the brain. Ventral striatum and prefrontal cortex, these parts have connections that make up the brain's reward system and regulate impulsive behavior. In a young person, drinking too much alcohol can affect those connections, which are not finished developing yet. As a result, teens may do impulsive things that they probably would not do under normal circumstances. This is also the part of the brain that is affected first, causing behavior to become looser and less guarded. Hippocampus, this is the part of the brain that stores memory. It is still maturing during adolescence. Even a small amount of alcohol can make teens forget what they did or learned while they were drinking. Cerebellum, this part works with the primary motor cortex to control movement, balance, and complex motor functions. Drinking alcohol can decrease motor function and slow reaction time. For example, when a person is drunk, he or she may not be able to stand or walk a straight line. Frontal lobe, this section controls judgment, behavior, and emotion. Alcohol may affect emotions, leading to crying, fighting, or a desire to be close to another person. Reticular activating system, this part is in the midbrain, and it controls sleeping and waking. Alcohol can depress these systems, causing a person to pass out. Medulla, this part is in the hindbrain, and it controls heartbeats, breathing, and other functions. During heavy drinking, these may slow or stop working altogether, endangering an individual's life. Neurons, these are the nerve cells. Alcohol can reach and enter these cells and damage, or even, at high enough levels, kill them. Blood vessels, at intoxicating levels, alcohol causes blood vessels to relax and widen. At even higher levels, it can shrink the vessels and increase blood pressure, exacerbating such conditions as migraine headaches. What is alcohol? Any natural or man-made substance that changes the function or structure in a living being is a drug. Alcohol is a drug. It is the most used and abused drug in the world. Alcohol is known as a gateway drug. The use of alcohol often leads to the usage of harder drugs. People who begin drinking, especially at a young age, often move on to other illegal substances due to peer pressure and dependency issues. Personal problems start with the influence of alcohol and other drug use. Alcohol and drug use are extremely negative ways of coping with your problems. They can destroy your family and friends, cause health problems, poor grades, arrests, and even death. There are many alternative coping strategies to deal with problems rather than using alcohol and other drugs as escape mechanisms. Which of the following contains the most alcohol? Is it beer, wine coolers, or liquor? A standard drink contains 12 grams of pure alcohol. This is equal to 1 12-ounce beer or wine cooler, 1 5-ounce glass of wine, or 1.5 ounces of 80-proof distilled spirits. All these drinks contain the same amount of alcohol. Carbonated drinks, watered-down drinks, and fruit drinks containing a single shot of alcohol is still equivalent to one drink, even if the taste is diluted. However, specialty drinks such as Long Island iced tea and rum runners contain multiple shots of alcohol, sometimes 3 or 4 different alcoholic beverages. Therefore, one drink may be equivalent to 3 drinks. Non-alcoholic beer has trace amounts of alcohol below the 3.2% level. This amount of alcohol could be enough to impair the driver of a motor vehicle if done excessively. Remember, a 12 ounces can of beer will increase your BAC the same as an 80-proof shot of straight liquor. A standard drink is any drink that contains about 14 grams of pure alcohol, about 0.6 fluid ounces or 1.2 tablespoons. What is considered a drink? 12 ounces beer x 5% alcohol equals 60 ounces amount of alcohol. 5 ounces of wine x alcohol equals 60 ounces amount of alcohol. 12 ounces of wine cooler x 5% alcohol equals 60 ounces amount of alcohol. 1.5 ounces liquor, 80 proof, x 40% alcohol equals 60 ounces amount of alcohol. Note that all of these all equal one drink. One drink per day should be the maximum amount to avoid problems. Alcohol is a depressant that will slow down your central nervous system. Alcohol will affect your coordination and reaction time. It alters mood, thought, and behavior. Alcoholism is one of the leading health problems in the U.S. Cirrhosis of the liver is the 12th leading cause of death in the U.S. 32 million people drink more than 5 drinks per month. Every 45 minutes, a drunk driver kills 1% of all fatal crashes are alcohol-related. Digestive system. This system is where food is broken down or digested. Its organs include the mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and anus. The mouth, stomach, and the lining of the small intestine contain tiny glands that produce juices to help digest food. The liver and the pancreas also produce digestive juices that reach the intestine and help the process of digestion. Alcohol is not digested like other foods. Once alcohol is swallowed, it travels down the esophagus into the stomach and the small intestine. It avoids the normal digestive process and goes right into the bloodstream. About 20% of the alcohol consumed is absorbed in the stomach, and about 80% is absorbed in the small intestine. One organ that is particularly affected by alcohol is the liver because it is the main organ that processes alcohol. The liver weighs more than 3 pounds and is the largest organ in the body. One of the liver's main jobs is to get rid of poisons, like alcohol, that enter the body. Without the liver, you could not live. How does alcohol enter your body? Absorption? When people drink alcohol, the alcohol goes directly through the walls of the stomach and small intestine. It is absorbed into the bloodstream, and it is not digested. Since alcohol is very similar to water, the blood will carry the alcohol to various tissues and organs of the body. The brain and muscle tissues contain a high water content and will receive a large share of the distributed alcohol. Blood is carried to the brain, and this affects the central nervous system. About 20% of the alcohol is absorbed directly across the walls of an empty stomach and can reach the brain within 1 minute. How does alcohol leave your body? Elimination? As soon as alcohol enters the bloodstream, the body begins getting rid of the alcohol. Most of the metabolism of alcohol takes place in the liver that breaks down 90% of the alcohol. Only a small portion, 2 to 10%, leaves through the kidneys or lungs. Depending on your physical characteristics, body weight, or what you ate in the last several hours, alcohol will leave the body at a rate of 1 drink per hour. Example, if you have 3 drinks, it will take more than 3 hours for alcohol to leave your system. The weight of a person can affect the volume of alcohol in the blood. Usually a heavier person can consume more alcohol than a lighter person and still have the same proportion of alcohol in the blood. Black coffee, a cold shower, cool air, or your own special remedy will not work. Time is the only solution. How do alcohol and drugs enter the body? When a person takes drugs or drinks alcohol, almost 20% of the alcohol is absorbed in the stomach and 80% is absorbed in the small intestine. After alcohol is absorbed, the alcohol enters the bloodstream and dissolves in water of the blood. The blood carries the alcohol throughout the body. The alcohol from the blood enters and is dissolved in the water inside each tissue of the body, including the brain. Once inside the tissues, the alcohol exerts its effect on the body. The blood alcohol concentration can rise within 20 minutes after your first drink, causing a person to become intoxicated. How does alcohol leave the body? The kidney eliminates 5% and lungs exhale approximately 5% of alcohol. The liver breaks down 90% of the alcohol. How do drugs and alcohol affect a person as they age? As we age, the tolerance for drugs and alcohol is significantly lowered. An older person achieves a higher blood alcohol concentration, BAC, than younger people after consuming the same amount of alcohol. This decrease will cause seniors to become intoxicated more rapidly and stay intoxicated for a longer period of time. An older person is more likely to be involved in a collision after drinking a small amount of alcohol. Does aging increase sensitivity to alcohol? Limited research suggests that sensitivity to alcohol's health effects may increase with age. One reason is that the elderly achieve a higher blood alcohol concentration, BAC, than younger people after consuming an equal amount of alcohol. The higher BAC results from an age-related decrease in the amount of body water in which to dilute the alcohol. Therefore, although they can metabolize and eliminate alcohol as efficiently as younger persons, the elderly are at increased risk for intoxication and adverse effects. Aging also interferes with the body's ability to adapt to the presence of alcohol, i.e., tolerance. Through decreased ability to develop tolerance, elderly subjects persist in exhibiting certain effects of alcohol, for example, incoordination, at lower doses than younger subjects whose tolerance increases with increased consumption. Thus, an elderly person can experience the onset of alcohol problems even though his or her drinking pattern remains unchanged. These conclusions are supported by laboratory experiments with rats that indicate age-related changes in tolerance to alcohol. Aging, alcohol, and the brain. Aging and alcoholism produce similar deficits in intellectual, i.e., cognitive, and behavioral functioning. Alcoholism may accelerate normal aging or cause premature aging of the brain. Using magnetic resonance imaging techniques, Pfefferbaum and colleagues found more brain tissue loss in subjects with alcoholism than in those without alcoholism, even after their ages had been taken into account. In addition, older subjects with alcoholism exhibited more brain tissue loss than younger subjects with alcoholism, often despite similar total lifetime alcohol consumption. These results suggest that aging may render a person more susceptible to alcohol's effects. The frontal lobes of the brain are especially vulnerable to long-term heavy drinking. Research shows that shrinkage of the frontal lobes increases with alcohol consumption and is associated with intellectual impairment in both older and younger subjects with alcoholism. In addition, older persons with alcoholism are less likely to recover from cognitive deficits during abstinence than are younger persons with alcoholism. Age-related changes in volume also occur in the cerebellum, a part of the brain involved in regulating posture and balance. Thus, long-term alcohol misuse could accelerate the development of age-related postural instability, increasing the likelihood of falls. Alcohol and other depressant drugs. What are the effects of alcohol and drugs on driver capabilities? Alcohol blunts alertness and reduces motor coordination. People who drive after using alcohol can't react as quickly when they need to. Their vision is affected, and may be blurred or doubled. Alcohol alters depth perception, making it hard to tell whether other vehicles, pedestrians or objects are close or far away. Alcohol affects judgment, and people who drive after drinking may feel overconfident and not recognize that their driving skills are reduced. Their driving is more likely to be careless or reckless, weaving, speeding, driving off the road, and too often, crashing. Alcohol is a depressant drug, which means it slows down your brain and body. Other depressant drugs, including some prescription drugs such as sedatives and painkillers, affect a person's ability to drive safely, in a way similar to alcohol. Any drug that causes drowsiness, including some cough, cold or allergy medications, can also affect a person's ability to drive safely. When alcohol and another depressant drug are combined, the effect is more intense and dangerous than the effect of either drug on its own. When taking prescription or over-the-counter medications, it is wise to consult with your doctor or pharmacist before driving. Synergistic effects of the combination of alcohol and other drugs. Synergism is the combined effects of two drugs taken together that produce an effect much greater than if the drugs were taken singularly. This simply means that 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2. The combination of drugs increases the risk of a driving fatality. For example, a combination of heroin and alcohol. Heroin and alcohol both suppress breathing. Another example is marijuana. Using alcohol with marijuana can decrease motor control and mental concentration and greatly impair your ability to drive. Because marijuana suppresses the gag reflex, you may not be able to throw up alcohol when your body needs to. Alcohol with a prescribed drug or an over-the-counter drug may affect your liver's ability to metabolize the medication and can decrease the medication's effectiveness. The effect of alcohol taken with another depressant can increase potency, tiredness, and loss of coordination, reduce judgment and confused thinking. Driving is extremely affected. Mixing alcohol with cocaine will mask the effect of the alcohol. You may think that you're able to drive, but you may be too impaired to drive in a safe manner. Your confidence is enhanced, but responsiveness and judgment is decreased. Overdosing is very common due to the unpredictable interaction between alcohol and drugs. Reaction time is increased, and a driver cannot react as well to emergency situations. Alcohol causes rapid heart rate and respiration rate, shortness of breath, resulting in increases reaction time, poor coordination, and poor reflex responses. The effects of alcohol will inhibit your ability to drive a motor vehicle in a safe manner. When alcohol is in your system, it affects how quickly you're able to respond to different situations. Drinking slows your response time, which can increase the likelihood of an accident. Therefore, if the car in front of you brakes suddenly, or a pedestrian crosses the street, it will take longer for your brain to process the situation and prevent an accident. Alcohol can slow down your reflexes and decrease the ability to understand and react immediately to changing situations. Studies show that drivers under the influence of alcohol are unable to respond to stimuli as quickly as when they are sober. Due to your impaired comprehension and coordination, your reaction time may slow down by as much as 15 to 25%. A decreased reaction time may result in accidents and collisions involving injuries or fatalities. Consuming alcohol can cause behavioral changes. As little as 1 or 2 drinks can cause physical effects of alcohol abuse. Impaired coordination and judgment may result in a collision. Coordination and reaction time. The ability to react quickly and safely to emergencies or a hazard on the road is reduced. Alcohol consumption as low as 0.02% vol will cause a person to take longer to react. The coordination skills necessary to control a vehicle with hands, eyes and feet in response to other vehicles on the road are reduced. Alcohol, no matter how much or how little, can influence your concentration. With driving, there are many things that require your undivided concentration, such as staying in your lane, your speed, other cars on the road and traffic signals. Your attention span is dramatically reduced with drinking, which significantly increases the chance of an accident. Risk-taking alcohol slows down the brain and affects the body's responses. At the same time, if you've been drinking, you're more likely to take risks. Combined, these reactions increase the chance of accidents happening. Drugs. The effects of specific drugs differ depending on how they act in the brain. For example, marijuana can slow reaction time, impair judgment of time and distance, and decrease coordination. Drivers who have used cocaine or methamphetamine can be aggressive and reckless when driving. Certain kinds of sedatives, called benzodiazepines, can cause dizziness and drowsiness. All of these impairments can lead to vehicle crashes. Drugs, including LSD, cocaine, crack and heroin, to name a few, have an immediate and significant effect on the central nervous system. In most cases, they cause feelings of overexcitement, energy and euphoria that may make a person feel invincible. Blood alcohol content level as it relates to drunk driving. In all 50 states, the legal limit for DUI is a blood alcohol concentration, BAC, level of 0.08 or higher. Your BAC level is defined as the percentage of alcohol in your blood, and it is the most common method of measuring one's drunkenness. While a BAC reading of 0.08 or higher makes it illegal to drive in the U.S., a person is still somewhat impaired by a lower level BAC. The following are the effects of differing degrees of intoxication. BAC level, 0.01 to 0.03, an average person appears normal. Impairment is subtle and can be detected by special tests that show a slight decline in visual and multitasking functions. BAC level, 0.03 to 0.06, a person begins to feel a calming sensation. The effects range from mild euphoria, increased sense of well-being, relaxation, talkativeness, joyousness, and decreased inhibition. Impairment increases as alertness, judgment, coordination and concentration begin to be affected. BAC level, 0.06 to 0.10, when a person reaches this level of intoxication, obvious physical effects begin to appear. Reflexes, reasoning, depth perception, distance viewing, peripheral vision and glare now become serious impairments to a driver, and car accidents become more likely. Drunk drivers at the legal BAC limit of 0.08 are 11 times more likely to get in a collision than a sober person. BAC level, 0.11 to 0.20, these high intoxication levels show a person that would appear very drunk. Behavioral changes include overexpression, emotional swings, angry or sad, and the person is likely to be rowdy. Impairments include a slower reaction time, loss of motor control, staggering and slurred speech. BAC level, 0.20 and up, having this high a BAC results in an individual that begins to lose any and all judgment and motor function. There is severe motor impairment, loss of consciousness, loss of memory, blacking out, and, as BAC levels approach 0.30 and higher, death by alcohol poisoning becomes very possible. How does alcohol affect driving ability? Judgment. Impaired drivers may also experience blurred or double vision. Impaired judgment or reasoning. Alcohol intoxication will also impair the rational part of your brain that handles proper judgment and reasoning. This means that the driver's ability to judge what's right from wrong, good from bad, will be greatly affected. Depth perception. This reduces visual acuity up to 32%. It reduces peripheral vision resulting in tunnel vision. It impairs ability to judge distance and depth perception, position of car. It dilates the pupil, slows down reactions of the pupil, resulting in problems with oncoming headlights, glare, and causes blind driving. Risk-taking. Your brain controls how you judge certain circumstances. When operating a motorized vehicle, your judgment skills play an important role in how you make decisions. Alcohol is a depressant drug. It slows the activity of the central nervous system, including the brain. This can have a huge impact on your ability to drive safely. Risky driving in young, inexperienced drivers significantly increases their risk of having a crash. Alcohol, compared to more experienced drivers, those who have been driving for 5 years or more, first-year provisional drivers are 3 times more likely to be injured in a crash if they have been drinking. The risk is greater for young drivers. Drivers in their 20s have at least 5 times the risk of crashing compared to drivers in their 30s for all alcohol levels. Awareness. Young people, who have less experience with alcohol or drugs and driving, are at high risk. Drivers under age 21 are approximately 4% of the driving population, but 7% of the impaired drivers involved in fatal crashes. As alcohol physically limits your ability to drive, it also makes you less aware of what is happening to your safe driving abilities. It becomes difficult for you to judge your condition. You can gain confidence about driving, when you should not be driving at all. Impaired drivers tend to stare rather than scan. Alcohol-impaired drivers tend to stare rather than scan. About 90% of what a driver identifies in a driving environment is through his or her sense of vision. A BAC as low as 0.03% can diminish a person's muscular control by relaxing the fine eye muscles, thereby adversely affecting visual acuity, depth perception, peripheral vision, color recognition, and night vision. A driver that is not impaired must know what is happening around your vehicle. You must look ahead, to the sides and behind the vehicle. Scanning helps you to see problems ahead, vehicles and people that may be in the road by the time you reach them, warning signs of problems ahead and signs giving you directions. Impaired drivers have difficulty performing more than one task at a time. Alcohol is a depressant drug that affects the central nervous system, which affects the brain. Alcohol slows reflexes and reaction times while reducing the ability to make decisions necessary to safely operate a motor vehicle. As the amount of alcohol in the body increases, a person's judgment worsens and skills decrease. Divided attention involves having to concentrate on 2 or more tasks at the same time. Impairment level, dividing attention between tasks was very sensitive to alcohol consumption. An impairment at a BAC as low as 0.005, suggesting that dividing attention between seemingly simple tasks as described, can start to be affected at very low levels. If something was to unexpectedly occur in the driving environment which also required our attention, such as a pedestrian stepping onto the road, it will be more difficult to adequately shift our attention, even at low BACs. Impaired drivers often forget to turn on lights or dim brights. Driving at night is more dangerous than during the day. One of the obvious reasons is darkness. 90% of a driver's reaction depends on vision, and vision is severely limited at night. Depth perception, color recognition, and peripheral vision are compromised after sundown. Just one drink can induce fatigue. Alcohol depresses the brain and slows down its ability to control the body and the mind. An impaired driver may be so relaxed or drowsy, they might forget to turn on lights or dim the bright lights. Alcohol adversely affects brain functions such as memory. An impaired driver may forget to turn on the headlights, causing a dangerous situation with a dark car on the road. He or she also may use the high beams when it is not necessary. An impaired driver may be driving with both headlights off during a period of the day, when the use of headlights is required.
We explained what alcohol does to your body. This is Michael. He enjoys going out and drinking at the weekend. Sometimes a bit more than he should. He's worried that it might be affecting his health. What exactly is alcohol doing to him? Michael knows that alcohol is used to describe beverages containing ethanol. Depending on their amount and volume percentage, some drinks are stronger than others. The intoxicating effects of alcohol are caused by ethanol entering the bloodstream faster than the liver can break it down. thus changing the signals sent from the brain to other parts of the body. This causes the euphoric and relaxed experience of being drunk, but it also has its risks. Lower doses of alcohol cause Michael to lose his sense of balance and ability to make decisions. He might even be sick because alcohol can irritate the stomach and have a negative effect on the inner ear. Higher doses of alcohol are far more dangerous, particularly if consumed regularly, because areas of the brain responsible for breathing, heart rate, and temperature control begin to shut down. Long-term problems can include addiction, liver disease, high blood pressure, and cancer. Alcohol's effect upon the central nervous system can lead to coma and even death. To minimize damage to health and society, each country has its own laws on alcohol, including the amount Michael can drink before driving a vehicle on the road. They may also have guidelines for how much alcohol is safe to drink each day. Michael is glad that he now knows the dangers of alcohol and how it affects his body. So, if you consume alcohol, drink responsibly.
The very presence of alcohol may be a factor in the decision to drive in the first place. That's because our brain's ability to make an accurate assessment of risk will be severely limited. Once you're in the car, your inability to make sensible decisions could also increase the likelihood of a collision, either through excess or inappropriate speed or risky driving behavior. Your spatial awareness will also be impacted. That's your ability to judge distance, negotiate gaps, and tell the speed of your own vehicle or that of another. Alcohol can affect us in different ways depending on our mood or state of mind at the time of drinking. If we're happy and content, it can heighten our good feeling. But the flip side is that drinking when we're in a low mood, feeling victimized, or in the aftermath of receiving bad news, can lead to severe depression and, in extreme cases, suicidal thoughts or actions. The brain has to communicate with the body's motor neurons to allow us to move and function properly. After a few drinks, we lose our hand-eye coordination. When driving, this can mean we fail to coordinate movements when changing gear, steering, or indeed braking. Because our brain helps us distinguish the direction of sound, our hearing also becomes impaired in the presence of alcohol. Sight is our most important sense when it comes to driving, and what we see is influenced greatly by alcohol. Intoxication slows down our eyes' ability to respond. This can inhibit our ability to distinguish colours and cause blurred vision or even temporary blindness. Whether you enjoy an occasional pint or have developed an alcohol dependency, alcohol affects your body, your brain, and your actions each time you drink. Every year, drink driving is responsible for hundreds of deaths on our roads. Have none for the road. Think road safety.
We're starting off with some breaking news as we are learning that a returning Tri-C basketball player was involved in a major car accident.
Get through that belt, get through that belt.
Antonio Mason sits in a hospital room wondering if he will ever play basketball again. A stolen car traveling at over 100 miles per hour hits Antonio from behind. The second-year guard had basketball dreams to carry him to a 4-year school. Mason is recovering in the spinal injury unit at Metro Health.
Night of the accident. It's a blurry night. I don't remember the car approaching me. I don't remember it hitting me. I remember going up the pole or anything. I just remember waking up the next morning with family members crying over me. The way my car looked, it was crazy. It was tough, and they telling me I got hit by a drunk driver. So I knew I had a son on the way. The basketball season was about to start. Oh, the first thoughts that went through my mind when I couldn't move my legs. I asked the doctor immediately, do you think I'm ever gonna be able to move them? A year later, therapy's helping a lot. I can get myself dressed in and out the shower. I could pick my son up and toss him around if I want to, you know. My upper body's getting pretty strong, you know, but everything's still healing because it's only a year later, you know. They say it can heal for 2, 3, 4 years, you know. It's a very slow process of healing. The mental part is tough. You know, you have your days when it's just so sad and depressed and you just be like, how do I do it? But then you look at your son and your family and you say, I know exactly how I do it. It's still a lot to live for, you know. Going to see them guys helped me so much because I know how bad I want to play the game. And it's like a second home. You just get to see the guys run up and down the court, play, and, you know, yelling. It's just like you're right back in practice. I message to anyone driving drunk, don't do it. You can change someone's life in the matter of seconds. You know, everybody makes mistakes, but that's a mistake that you can avoid.